You're watching News 4 In Depth. Keeping our children safe at school.
The first line of defense and the first layer of safety we have is that locked door.
What's being done at the local and state levels, and who is paying for it? Plus, holding districts and the state's top safety leaders accountable.
Where do you think we have the most room for growth in terms of safety?
I want my daughter out. I want all the students to be safe.
What happens when parents show up on campus during an incident? The responses from districts are very different.
You go to work to teach. You go to work to nurture students.
And we address a troubling trend in schools.
You don't go to work to be attacked daily.
Teachers injured on the job. Right now on News 4 In Depth.
And welcome to News 4 San Antonio In Depth, friends. I'm Jonathan Martinez.
I'm Mandy Noel. Tonight we take a deep dive into school safety and what's being done to keep your children and teachers safe. Since the Robb Elementary school shooting, school safety in Texas is under a microscope. One of the consistent issues is making sure doors are locked and that they stay locked. Nearly 2 years later, districts are still having issues with doors. Whether it's a student holding a door open for a stranger, parents opening doors, or a teacher keeping a door propped open. It's one of the most common safety violations the Texas Education Agency says it finds during school safety audits, despite the state pouring millions of dollars into school safety funding.
You spend millions and millions of dollars and it's circumvented by a rock.
The first line of defense and the first layer of safety we have is that locked door.
Districts want help. Southside made a series of student videos to inform the community about it. Northside and Northeast are asking parents to talk with their kids about the dangers of opening up doors.
Well, across Texas, school staff required to check and make sure doors are locked and secure, and they also have to undergo intruder detection audits. District officials across San Antonio tell us they regularly talk about school safety at school board meetings. They also give presentations and update leaders on how the process works and how they're doing. The audits were introduced following the Uvalde school tragedy back in 2022. Almost 84% of campuses were checked. As for the current school year, the goal is to check every single one of them.
For months, we've been telling you about House Bill 3, the school safety legislation enacted this year. Now, close to the end of the school year, we checked in with some local districts to ask how they've adjusted to the new mandates. School district officials say it's made staff more aware of safety protocols and districts more diligent in executing proper procedure, like the door thing. On the other hand, the bill was largely without funding from the state, only giving schools a fraction of the money it would take to fully implement it.
So we would have struggled regardless. This has just exacerbated those costs.
Being able to staff appropriately with the skilled professionals that we need to meet the provisions of that bill, we're going to be incredibly challenging.
The bill requires each campus to have a trained security officer, but it only gave each district $15,000 per campus.
Now, in the aftermath of the Uvalde school shooting, Governor Greg Abbott appointed John P. Scott to be the new chief of school safety and security. Since then, the office has expanded and Scott was promoted to director. His role to make sure the more than 9,000 schools across Texas have what they need to promote safety, meet the new requirements, and implement new laws as well. Scott recently sat down with the I-Team's Jordan Elder. He says he spent most of year one traveling across the Lone Star State in looking at the security measures at schools.
And one of the common things that we saw around was there's a lot of people telling schools what to do, but not a lot of folks telling them how to do it. So that's what we've tried to develop.
Scott says he was surprised by the level of security schools are achieving, saying districts large and small have people committed to doing even better.
Where do you think we have the most room for growth in terms of safety?
Well, one of the things that needed a little bit of growth was a standardization, and we did that with the school safety facility standards. We kind of set a benchmark for everybody to meet.
Now, he also adds the sticking point for many school districts is that they need more funding to upgrade security.
Bottom line, Texas school districts say they're not getting the help they need from the state for school safety funding. Two bills stalled during special sessions last fall. Senate Bill 5 would have sent an extra $800 million to public schools for security upgrades. House Bill 2 would have given public schools about $2.2 billion for safety measures. It also would have created and funded 2 grant programs to help pay for different security methods. Governor Greg Abbott has said school funding will most likely not pass until school vouchers do. Unless there is another special session, we'll have to wait until the 2025 legislative session. San Antonio's largest school district, Northside ISD, has taken proactive steps this year to prioritize safety. That includes several safety initiatives, numbering every outside door on campuses for quick reference in an emergency. There are routine door checks, added police officers to its force. All campuses are equipped with silent panic technology. The district has a portable metal detector moved randomly throughout the high schools. They also use a handheld metal detecting wand at each middle school. And all NISD high school students are required to wear their student ID. NISD is researching options for more safety measures, including bullet-resistant film on outside windows and doors and alarms on exterior doors, plus vape sensors. Another big part of the plan, the district has implemented standard response protocol for seamless communication between the district and law enforcement.
Now, we've been asking you all day on our website and social media platforms, do you feel like your child is safe at school? And there you see the results so far, 49% saying yes, 51% saying no. That poll, however, is not closed. You can scan the QR code that you see right there on your screen. We will be updating that poll throughout this newscast for you to chime in as well. No doubt your heart probably drops when you get a notification that your child's school is on lockdown or police are responding to a situation.
Texas law requires school districts to have a system in place to let you know about those kinds of things. But as the News 4i team's Jordan Elder explains, when parents show up during an emergency, which we see is often the case, that protocol is less regulated.
I'm just concerned about the children.
September 2022.
I want my daughter around. I want all the students to be safe. I'm worried.
A shooting threat called into Jefferson High School. Parents arrived to check on their children.
I'm sorry, where did you get that information?
Getting closer and closer to the building. And then chaos unfolded.
And that was the outcome that you saw out here. His parents being impatient, not going through the entire process that we have in place for that reunification.
Texas law requires school districts to send you a notification when they're investigating violent activity. There are even templates the Texas Education Agency provides for districts to use. They stress that you should not go to the school, but as we know, that doesn't always work. And the law doesn't require districts to have a plan for if parents do show up.
I figured we could get better information if I was here. And then again, if something happens, I'm close to take care of my family.
This was the scene in January of this year as police investigated a threat in Bernie ISD. Much more calm, but parents still nervous for their kids.
It just makes it more prevalent that we sometimes don't have as much communication as what we need to have.
Dennis Porter was a school resource officer before he became a security consultant. He says prepping officers and having a plan for when parents arrive is crucial.
The more communication you have, the better. I think parents have to develop a trust, if you will, with the police departments and the school districts.
All the local districts we spoke to say they do have a communication plan for these situations and use that as a way to tell parents to not come to campus. Northeast tells us they want investigators to have complete focus when there's a threat, so parents typically aren't allowed on campus. Northside says if parents do show up, it's handled by district police on a case-by-case basis. Somerset tells us that, like many districts across the state, they use the standard response protocol, which includes a reunification plan for emergencies. That resource is free to use, but not required. Porter says maybe something like that should be.
If you have policies and stuff in place, I think it would greatly assist with a lot of those situations.
For the News 4i team, I'm Jordan Elder.
And to learn what the state requires districts tell you during a crisis situation, be sure to look for this story on our website, news4sa.com.
You go to work to teach. You go to work to nurture students. You don't go to work to be attacked daily.
We're also following an alarming trend in classrooms across Texas. More students assaulting teachers. State data shows more than 2,900 incidents last school year. A national task force has been studying the trend for years. They say it's going to take training, funding, and staffing to see a decline in those numbers.
you really need to take this kind of comprehensive ecological approach to addressing the problem, or you're not going to make much of a difference.
Experts say it's important to address violence against school staff to help keep them in the classroom. A recent survey shows that parents are also sometimes behind the assaults.
And we are getting more responses on our live poll right now. The question we pose to you, do you feel like your child is safe at school? Again, more of you are weighing in right now, 44% saying yes, 56% saying no. You can scan the QR code right now to have your voice heard. We will have more updates in this newscast. Welcome back to News 4 In Depth as we cover school safety right here in our community.
One San Antonio area school district is stepping up its anti-bullying efforts. Harlandale ISD got the Stronger Connections grant for the 2024 to 26 school years. The $1.2 million will be used to foster an inclusive and supporting learning environment for students and adults. It also wants to increase partnerships between the district and after-school community programs. Lastly, the money will help create programs to improve attendance, minimize bullying, at-risk behaviors, and triggers that can affect a student's mental, social, and emotional achievements and success.
We are committed to covering stories that highlight problems and solutions involving our schools. If you have an issue impacting your school district that you'd like us to look into, be sure to call our Crisis in the Classroom tip line. That number is 210-366-1151. You can also email us at classroom@news4sa.com.
Thank you for joining us for News 4 In Depth on school safety.
Yeah, and here's another look at the results of our poll this evening. We certainly appreciate you weighing in. The question we asked you, do you feel like your child is safe at school? So far, 69% saying no, only 31% saying yes. You can scan the QR code right now and you can still chime in.
Responses fluctuating there quite a bit. You can also watch this and all of our in-depth newscasts on our YouTube channel. We've covered more than 20 issues important to you. You can scan this QR code, then click on podcasts at the top of the page.